Welcome back, everybody, to another episode of the Leadership Void podcast. I'm Enrique with my co host Vince, and we're about to bring you the best in entrepreneurship and leadership, and Vince will introduce.
Well, yes, it is March. Happy Women's History Month, first and foremost. We're here with Dr. Theresa Roman. She is the CEO of Balance Wellness LLC from Bluffton, South Carolina. Welcome, Dr. Roman. Please, let's just start off. Tell us about you.
Okay. Well, I'm Theresa Roman. I'm a Florida native. I received my doctoral degree in clinical psychology. I actually had a focus on forensic issues. There is a forensic psychology program in Nova Southeastern University. So I kind of just jumped right in after I graduated from my undergraduate studies. So during my undergraduate studies, I was interested in family forensics specifically. So I actually presented a research paper on maternal mental health issues in the court system and just sort of how the court views different issues with postpartum psychosis and different maternal mental health issues. So then after that, I do talk about this a little bit later, but I eventually went on to complete a doctoral internship in LA County, and I ended up working with high profile cases pertaining to maternal mental health. So these were women who had killed their children. I know it's kind of a dark topic for right now, but it really came full circle with my undergraduate studies. And so I worked in the correctional system and I worked with those moms. But it was really there that I learned about my passion for doing more preventative front-loaded work on supporting new moms and families. And after becoming a mother 2 years later, from that experience, that just sealed the passion. I just really understood there was a need there. There's a lack of services. So I also had a personal experience with pregnancy and postpartum anxiety with my first son due to multiple pregnancy losses. So I had a very personal understanding of what an emotionally isolating experience that was and can be for many people. In other news, I'm a military spouse of 12 years. He is active duty Marine Corps. He is currently at Parris Island. So when I finished my doctoral coursework, I had a really difficult choice to make. I either move on to internship right away or I stay with my spouse. Postponing my internship. I think this is actually a really common thing that comes up for advanced degree seeking spouses or those that are pursuing a specialization. And so given his combat deployments and all of our time away, I decided that our time together was a priority. It was going to be really difficult to move across the country for just any internship. So I delayed my internship for 2 years. I eventually landed, though, when I was referring to Los Angeles, that was probably the richest internship I could have ever gotten for what I do now. So I think it was, ultimately worth it, but it was very difficult for us to have to make those decisions very early on in my career. Right now we're approaching retirement in less than a year. I say we because I feel like we're all retiring from this lifestyle. It's been such a long but amazing journey. It's really surreal to me that we're not only staying in one place, but my career goals can finally expand to serve in a greater way than I ever thought possible with so many moves. And then I know we're going to talk about the pandemic. So that's right now, the Marine Corps has landed us in Bluffton, South Carolina. It's very close to Beaufort. It is Beaufort County. That's where Parris Island is. That's where the air station is. This is pretty symbolic for my husband because this is where he started at the recruit training center here. So he does plan on retiring on the yellow footprints or pretty close to that. So it's really meaningful for us to just go into this transition year, not only professionally, but personally.
Well, what a dynamic and special field to be in. I'm listening to you and I'm like, wow, that's something that you often don't hear about. So, congratulations for not only seeking that higher education, but attaining it and now venturing into your own, which I congratulate you and your husband. I had a bookend military service where I started is where I ended. So, that was great. So I know he'll enjoy that. Now, tell us a little bit about balanced wellness because this is a topic that we really need to hear about.
Mhm. Well, if you would have asked me 4 years ago if I would have my own business and be an entrepreneur, I would have just laughed and I would have definitely said no. Truth be told, many military spouses, especially those of us who are between degrees or licenses, we fall to the mercy of workplaces that will take any part of our skill set, offer us a job. Unfortunately, that was me for a little while. I worked in event planning with a temp agency. I worked in medical billing. I was just trying to kind of keep myself busy and occupied, but it was very difficult to find work. So I was either too overqualified with a master's degree, and I was not licensed my doctorate due to moving. So it was just really hard. So Balanced Wellness was born initially out of my desire to just do something meaningful in my community and in my field. While I was waiting for job placement, I had applied to many government level jobs and other like MCCS jobs and things. And, as most people know, there's a really long process for that. So I just started giving educational speeches to mental health and medical professionals about maternal mental health, compassion fatigue, and self-care. Compassion fatigue really focuses on, in the helping profession, making sure you're also taking care of yourself, which is something that I'm very passionate about. I eventually obtained my license to practice in North Carolina. And so then I decided to take the leap of faith because I still had not heard back from 42 job applications that I had filled out. It was very discouraging, very scary time for me, but I decided I've got to do something for myself. And then I thought having a practice would be a great career in what I was aiming to do. So Balanced Wellness started out as a single member private practice focused on providing psychological services to military spouses in the Camp Lejeune area. It was very specific to that area at first. And I had a cute little office over there, and it was just me. But now I know with the pandemic and with some of the changes that have happened over the last 3 years since I started, I have since expanded. I have 5 amazing team members now. We all provide psychological services and support to moms, families, even dads now. We do couples counseling, and we do couple support pretty much across all of North Carolina, South Carolina, and Florida. And those are the 3 states in which I'm licensed to practice in. I now provide telehealth. So it's not just a small office. I do have one here, but I can do remote and telehealth services. Also did those in person for the moms in the local area that need it. Like I said, Bluffton being very close to Beaufort, I do get the military spouses that are over there and the families there. So some of the issues that I provide support with and my team provides support with are, this is not an inclusive list. There are many other things we do. Birth trauma support, infertility, miscarriage, pregnancy, infant loss, pregnancy-related mood disorders, and postpartum mood issues. I did a training in 2018 from Postpartum Support International, and they actually have a certification track on perinatal mood disorders and for professionals to have this advanced training. I also meet with adoptive and special needs moms. I'm also an adoptive mom, so I can definitely understand how that has a totally different dynamic for a family. So that's a little bit about what I do. But again, I'm a clinical psychologist by training, so there are many things that I can do, many things I can address. But I do like to offer some specialized services in those areas.
Well, you are definitely a dynamic entrepreneur. Hearing you, put in 42 applications, it's always about getting back up, right? And you did that, and look where you are after 3 years with a team of 5, and definitely going to expand the horizons of Balanced Wellness. And speaking of what happened a couple of years ago, how did the pandemic either influence or impacted either your clients or your company?
Oh boy, in a very big way. At first, being a completely in-person provider. I mean, remember, I was scared. I was starting my own business, not really sure about anything. So I'd finally gotten the doors open, moms into the office. They brought their babies. Then the pandemic happened, and that was just all came to a screeching halt of not only what we could do, what we felt like we should do in person or not being a provider. So I was terrified about what the pandemic would do to my business, how it would impact the support I could give my families. I was very hesitant to do teletherapy. I had no idea what Zoom is. I'm still learning Zoom. I didn't know what Zoom was. I didn't know that was even possible. I also found that as a helping professional, it's really difficult to manage burnout while trying to help others. So we were very much going through the same things. I've got 3 boys. There were times, and have been even more recently, times that my kids are sick or at home or are positive for COVID, and we're all in quarantine. So that understandably makes it really, really difficult emotionally and physically to hold therapy sessions. We get through it with a lot of grace. There are times when we need to cancel, or I have a tiny assistant that is not far away from me while we do sessions, but really working with moms to support them while I was also going through some of the same thing was a very unique experience that the pandemic provided. But the amazing outcome is that all of this has shifted towards virtual care model that I didn't even know was possible. So even though I enjoy meeting moms in person, telehealth has bridged a gap in services. I mean, the new moms and families that I work with, even aside from the pandemic, are not comfortable leaving the house with a newborn baby, maybe not even healed from C-section recovery or other things. So this has been really, really big for the services that I can provide. Childcare is a significant barrier to moms receiving health services. So I think, ultimately it was a great shift in my business. I'm more confident in providing virtual services, and I've learned how to adapt my own self-care so I can be present for my clients. A little bit of grace goes a long way. If I've got to cancel a whole day of sessions because my kiddo's homesick, I think just kind of learning that I'm also human and a professional. So I definitely have grown in that way.
That's amazing. And the journey and the story is just like dynamic. And COVID did provide, unfortunately, all those challenges, but also an equalizer. Everybody was feeling this thing. Didn't matter what profession or what stage in life. And so you were able to navigate those waters well. We're here today. So what's on the horizon for Balanced Wellness?
Um, I'm definitely a dreamer, so we have a lot of things kind of in the mix. A few of those things will be popping up a little sooner than later, but now that we're setting roots here in South Carolina, moving towards virtual options for care, I'm hoping to expand my practice. That will include virtual support groups. My goal is every military base area will have a virtual support group and an in-person option all across. So far, I've got interest for leaders in at least 6 different bases across. So that will hopefully develop. So the support group that I use, the model that I use, can be run by anyone. It doesn't have to be a licensed mental health professional, which is actually the best model for a support group. Someone, a doula, another mom, somebody who just understands what is needed in that setting. So I have a lot of military spouses that we've all teamed up and we're eager to jump in. So this is the most exciting thing, I think, is those support groups. I also, I know I said everything about virtual and how great, but I do encourage moms in this area to come into the office again. There's just something to be said about having your own space, lighting a candle. Sometimes I have treats or donuts, and just having room to breathe outside of looking at your dishes and your laundry. I mean, I think that's one of the challenge of therapy is creating that therapeutic environment. And I really want to do that here. Sometimes we'll go to the park and walk, and we'll just get some fresh air and vitamin D with the moms that I work with. So really just encouraging them to come back, come into the office, have a space just for themselves. Now that I'm going to be staying here, I've got to partner with the community. That mindset of we're going to be moving in 2 or 3 years is, slowly sloughing off. And so I really need to engage so I can best serve the families here and learn what some of the other resources are. Again, part of Postpartum Support International's big goal for this year in mind too is bridging that gap of services. I'm not having one provider that says, I don't know who you can see that specializes in this, but having that list of providers. So those are the 2 biggest things. A couple other things along the way, but we'll start there for now.
Well, thank you for sharing that exclusive, and continue to dream big, because this is definitely something warranted around the country and around the world. So for Balanced Wellness, I definitely hope those terrains open, those doors open up. And if you knock down a couple more doors, definitely 3 more will open. So continue forward with that, Dr. Roman. Now let's transition, talk a little bit about leadership. What do you do in your spare time that aids you to thrive in your professional life?
Mhm. Well, I'm a forever learner, as you can tell, all the years I went to school. I really love learning. I recently, though, I engaged in a leadership seminar. Actually, it was taught by, I believe he was a retired Marine Corps um, service member. And, at first I was thinking to myself, I don't know if I can get anything from this because it's very like military mindset. And he assured me, it will apply to you. And it was the best leadership seminar. It really challenged my thinking. I think I needed something that wasn't geared towards mental health, because I needed to be able to make those translations. So I really like doing my own personal and self exploration work. So I know that what I look for in a leader and how that translates to how I lead. So I think kind of looking within and realizing the impact that I have on other people based off of the type of work that I do, how I come across to others. So I really try to do work around that. That includes self-care. So work-life boundaries, making sure that I'm spending time with my family and feel enriched in that. And then also the time that I'm devoting to my work life and other things, social connections and other things. Recharging when I need to step away from work is very important. And the type of work that I do, especially given my history with loss and working with moms of loss, it's very important that I'm able to process and recharge and do anything that I need to do so that I can be present. I also love exploring our new area. It gets me really excited about living here. Live very close to our family, so it's probably the first time that we've lived close to our extended family. So it just ignites that passion in me to become a steward here in my community, knowing that this is going to be home for us. So there's just a few things that I do to try to keep that up.
A wonderful strategy indeed. And it's always great to be around family. They kind of infuse us with hope and belief. And you're doing a great job all by yourself.
Mhm.
And as you was in your trajectory to attain where you are today, it must have taken a lot of self leadership. And we know leadership is a ground zero thing. It starts with you. So what did you learn from maybe leaders and mentors along the way that kind of fueled your passion and your journey that you would like to share with someone today?
Yeah, well, I think you got it perfectly right. Self leadership. I think one of the things that I struggled with before, as a student for such a long time, I would have put my own needs last. I guess that's why I'm in the field that I'm in, right? I'm a caregiver. I really have that heart for helping others. But something I actually had to learn was that self leadership and really stepping into a position of not only confidence, but balancing boundaries in the goals that I have in my business with the needs of my team, staff, and my clients. It's not an easy skill to learn. It's really easy to kind of make those boundaries loosely defined or just kind of blurry. So I think that just balancing those two things and making sure that when you're stepping up to lead, that your team, this is something that I learned in leadership seminar, your team really looks at you and they really can learn something from your leadership style as well. So I would think that's something that I wish I would have learned sooner than later. There are some hard lessons with not doing it that way, but now I'm moving through that.
Moving through that indeed. And you said work-life boundaries. So folks, great tip, great advice to folks listening in and our audience. And how, Dr. Roman, do you handle challenges either you face or currently facing?
Yeah, well, one of the things that tends to happen for military spouses with a lot of, moving or deployed spouses or pandemic shutting things down, it's really easy to feel alone. And I think if that's something that, if there's something I struggled with as a challenge, it was definitely that. No one was a graduate student and a military spouse and living in the place I was living in and trying to get an internship. There was just no way someone was going to know exactly what I was dealing with. So I guess my encouragement is, if there's ever a time that someone feels alone and unsupported, that's a sign to dig in and find the resources. There are so many amazing things out there. I don't know what I would have done if I hadn't found resources. The Rosie Network, National Military Family Association, who provided some financial scholarships for my licensing exams. Military Birth Resource Network, who brought me in as a provider. I mean, there are so many people that are there waiting to help. They're not going to come looking for you. So you just have to find them, and you have to find your community. Even if it's a temporary one. I think some of the challenges we face as spouses are lonely ones because we're thinking we're going to move. They won't understand, but we're all in that together. So, there are spouses that have reached out to me for internships. They are across the country, and I'm like, come on over, we'll do a virtual internship. I understand. There are people, you just have to kind of dig in and look for that. So that's definitely something that I utilize. I'm very resourceful with my support network.
Well, it sounds like you dealt with change very well, and the areas that come our way that pose a challenge or a change. Now, everybody will face change in their life. So, what strategies or concepts did you implement to handle change and to face changes?
Yeah, kind of based off of what I was sharing earlier about leadership, balancing, self needs with the team needs. So I really utilize a collaborative model. I don't ever use my education or my degrees or my certifications to hold above anyone. I really, really value the input from my interns, the ones on my team that have different degrees, marketing degrees. We just have such a great dynamic because we all learn from each other. That has worked best. I think I've had many people have had poor leadership in the past, and that just makes it very difficult in times of change. When I was, in transition, PCS thing, just getting somewhere, having that leader that was collaborative, that was open, that was more like a mentor, really helped to facilitate some of those personal conversations that impact my professional work. So I think that support is everything. I think dealing with change and feeling supported, it doesn't matter if the person can help you or not. You just know that they're there and that they care about what you're going through, and they can help you develop some strategies around that.
Definitely some great pearls of wisdom. Collaborative models, which you referred to. You talked about work-life boundaries, digging in, getting those resources. Great advice, great strategies for change. Now, folks listening in, how do they get a hold of Dr. Theresa Roman or the Balanced Wellness LLC company?
Yes, we would love nothing more than for someone who has any questions about anything. I mean, it can be mental health, perinatal mental health, unrelated, military spouse life. They can absolutely email us. It's admin, so ADMIN at balanced with a D dash wellness.org. I'll put my number on here too, because I'm very open to communication. 910-378-9211. You can text, you can call us. We will be happy to talk with you if you just need a resource for anything, even if we don't offer it. I want to bridge that gap of services for other people. So I will find what you need. I will do my best anyways. So yeah, email. We do have a website. It's www.balanced-wellness.org. And so that has some of our team information, where we're located, and some other resources through Postpartum Support International and the like.
Well, thank you for sharing that with us, Doctor. And we're going to have that as part of the video and the show notes, folks, for you to be able to reach out. This is a needed area to address. And so I'm so happy that you found your way to it and are actually filling that void, as we're talking about the leadership void, filling that void in our lives, because I know a lot of people that have gone through this type of loss, these type of challenges. My own house is one of them, right? So we thank you so much. And folks, if you want to get a hold of the Leadership Void podcast, you can contact us at the leadershipvoid@gmail.com for anything you would like to ask or address in the area of leadership. And we'll be able to curate that and answer those questions. But today, thank you, Doctor, for being with us and sharing what you're doing in this space. And we wish you all the best.
Thank you.
And as well, I wanted to share that as Dr. Roman's talking about, she can be a resource to you. We also offer opportunities for folks every 1st and the 15th, 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. It's called Radio Check. We just check in our brothers and sisters in arms and our first responders, military community. So if you definitely feel lonely, want to just chat, come on our LinkedIn Live 1st and 15th at 1900, 7 p.m. Eastern Standard. We also have a subscription drive. We almost there, folks, reaching our 200 subscriber. You will enter a drawing to win this wonderful book from Scott McGregor, Standing O, the Salute Edition. It's a great book, Lessons in Gratitude, autographed, by the way. So just join in, help us get there to our 200. We couldn't do these without our sponsor from the home team of Round Point Mortgage Service Corporation. So thank you for our sponsor. And next week, we'll continue the path with another dynamic guest. But today is all about Dr. Theresa Roman and Balanced Wellness LLC. So Dr. Roman, again, thank you so much.
Thank you.